We ran a 5.3 and a 6.2 to 200,000 miles and tracked every dollar. Fuel, parts, repairs. One repair erased the entire gap between them, and it hits both. I'm Dale, 28 years. Here's what makes this one worth your time. One of these two drinks noticeably more at the pump, and over 200,000 miles that difference is real money. The other one carries a bill most owners never see coming until the engine tells them. And the cheapest one to own wasn't decided by which badge was on the intake. 12 years of that was inside a GM dealership, the rest in my own shop, which means I've written the invoices on both of these engines from delivery mileage all the way out past 200,000. Same shop, same distance. Every dollar counted. Fuel, oil, plugs, filters, brakes, the whole scheduled list, plus whatever broke. Judged on one thing only: total cost to own. Not horsepower, not 0 to 60, not what it sounds like at a stoplight, what it costs you to keep it. Let's get into it. The 5.3 is the value engine, and it earns that name honestly. Start at the pump, because that's where most people think this comparison lives. The 5.3 is the smaller engine, and it uses less fuel. Not dramatically. You're talking a couple of miles per gallon in mixed driving. More if you're comparing highway numbers on lightly loaded trucks. But stretch that across 200,000 miles, and a couple of mpg turns into thousands of dollars. Let me put rough numbers on it, so it's not just a feeling. Say the 5.3 averages a couple miles per gallon better in real mixed driving. Over 200,000 miles, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 extra gallons the 6.2 burns that the 5.3 doesn't. And at the pump, that adds up to several $1,000s across the life of the truck. It's not the biggest number in this video, but it's real cash. It goes in the 5.3's column, and it's the number most people build their whole opinion around. Hold that figure in your head, because it matters later when we compare it to the one repair that dwarfs it. Then there's the part nobody talks about that saves owners even more money than fuel does. This is the most common GM V8 on the road, which means every parts counter in America has what it needs. Aftermarket support is enormous, and labor rates on it are competitive because every shop has done 100 of them. Nobody has to look anything up. There's no dealer-only diagnostic dance. Coils, plugs, water pump, intake gaskets, cheap, available, and installed by somebody who's done it before lunch. And that ubiquity compounds over 200,000 miles in a way people underestimate. Every routine job is quicker because the tech knows the engine cold. Every part is cheaper because a dozen suppliers compete to sell it. There's no waiting a week for a back-ordered piece while the truck sits. When you own the most common V8 in the country, the whole ownership experience is frictionless and cheap. And that friction-free part is worth real money, spread across a couple 100,000 miles of visits. So on scheduled maintenance across 200,000 miles, the 5.3 is about as inexpensive as a V8 gets. Now the honest part, because this is where the 5.3 is always cheap idea falls apart. Cylinder deactivation. On the 5.3, that means the AFM versions, the LMG in the earlier trucks, the L84 in the 2014 through 2018 Gen V. Those engines shut down 4 cylinders under light load using collapsible lifters, and those lifters have a documented failure pattern. When one fails, it doesn't fail quietly. It hammers the lobe, scores the camshaft, and now you're not doing a lifter, you're doing a cam job. $3,000 to $7,000, and that spread is real. Do the job from the top. Cam and lifters with the engine still in the truck, and you're at the lower end. But if the failure spun debris through the oil system, or the shop can't get clean access, they pull the whole engine, and now the labor alone doubles. Same failure, 2 very different invoices, and the owner doesn't get to pick which one he gets. And the mileage cluster on those failures sits around 119,500. Right in the window where an owner has finally stopped making payments and thinks the expensive part of ownership is behind him. The DFM engines that followed, the L84 from 2019 on, are a different system, not a milder one. DFM doesn't use 4 dedicated deactivating lifters. It can vary cylinder count across a much wider range, and it runs collapsible lifters on all 16. broader exposure, not narrower, which leaves the version almost nobody puts on a poster. The LM7, the non-AFM 5.3, from 1999 through 2007. No cylinder deactivation, no direct injection, nothing to collapse. Fuel economy still good, parts still everywhere, and no $6,000 surprise engineered into the valve train. Dollar for dollar over 200,000 miles. That's the cheapest V8 GM has ever asked you to own. Honest limit on the whole 5.3 family. Less power, less tow capacity, and it works harder to do what the bigger engine does easily. If you pull weight regularly, you feel that quick one while we're between engines. The service that actually keeps a cylinder deactivation lifter from taking the cam with it. What to run, how often, and the mistake that puts owners in that repair early. That's in the 500,000-mile GMC blueprint. Links in the description. Back to it. The 6.2 is the premium engine, and the price shows up in more than one place. Fuel first, since we started there. It uses more. Bigger displacement, more power, and in the Gen V trucks 420 horsepower doesn't come free. Over 200,000 miles, the 6.2 costs you meaningfully more at the pump than the 5.3. And if you're the kind of owner who uses the power you paid for, that gap widens. Parts cost more too, and that surprises people who assume a GM V8 is a GM V8. It isn't. The 6.2 sits in higher trims, wears more premium hardware, and the components priced for that market are priced accordingly. Same job, higher invoice. It's not that the parts are exotic, it's that they're spec'd for the premium end of the lineup and priced for buyers who weren't shopping on cost in the first place. A water pump is a water pump, but the one on a loaded 6.2 truck often carries a heavier price tag than the identical function on a base 5.3. And every one of those small premiums stacks up over 200,000 miles of service. So far, this looks exactly like what everybody expects. Bigger engine, bigger bills. Here's where it stops being that simple. The 6.2 carries the identical cylinder deactivation exposure. The L86 is the AFM version. The L87 is DFM. Same collapsible lifter architecture, same failure mode, same repair. And the L87 has been the subject of a NHTSA recall, 25 V274, covering roughly 600,000 vehicles. That's not a forum rumor, that's a federal filing with a number on it. And a recall of that size tells you something important. This isn't a handful of unlucky owners. It's a known, acknowledged pattern at the factory level. When the government and the manufacturer both put their name on a problem covering hundreds of thousands of trucks, you treat it as a real cost factor when you're deciding what to buy, not an edge case you can wave away. Meaning the 6.2 doesn't have a worse version of the 5.3's problem. It has the same one. And then there's the version that changes the argument entirely. The L92 and the L9H. The non-AFM 6.2s, 403 horsepower, port injected, no cylinder deactivation, no direct injection, so no intake valve carbon service in your future. Real power, real tow capacity, and none of the two big cost bombs built into the modern versions. I had a customer bring me a 2016 5.3 at 90,000 miles. The lifter had already scored the cam, $4,200, and that was me being decent about the labor. His neighbor runs a non-AFM truck that had crossed 200,000 and had never cost him $1 past oil, plugs, and a water pump. Same brand, same shop, same road. One of them just didn't have collapsible lifters in it. Honest credit where it's due. The 6.2 does give you more truck, more power, more capacity, more refinement, and it does hard work without straining. If you tow, that isn't a luxury. It's less heat, less downshifting, and less stress on everything downstream. A 5.3 dragging a heavy trailer up a grade is working near the top of its range, spinning higher, making more heat, and heat is what ages an engine and the transmission behind it. The 6.2 does the same pull with margin to spare, cooler and calmer, and over years of towing that lower stress can actually save you money on the drivetrain, even though the engine itself costs more to feed. So the fuel penalty isn't the whole story. If you genuinely work the truck, Some of that extra fuel cost buys back longevity somewhere else. You pay more to own it, and you get something real for the money. That's the honest case for the bigger engine, and I'm not going to shortchange it. So here's what 200,000 miles of invoices actually says. Displacement is not the expensive variable. Cylinder deactivation is. Run the numbers side by side and it isn't close. The fuel difference between a 5.3 and a 6.2 over 200,000 miles is real. Call it thousands of dollars. And I'm not dismissing it. But a single cylinder deactivation lifter failure that takes the camshaft with it lands at $3,000 to $7,000 in one invoice, on one afternoon, with no warning. That one repair eats the entire fuel gap and keeps going. Think about what that means. The fuel difference is spread over 200,000 miles. A little bit every fill-up, easy to absorb, easy to plan around. The lifter failure is the opposite. It's the entire cost, all at once, on a single afternoon, usually with no warning beyond a tick you might not catch in time. One is a slow drip you budget for. The other is a wall you hit. And I've seen the same truck hit that wall more than once when the underlying system was never addressed. Fix the cam, leave the deactivation running, and you've bought yourself a chance at doing it all again down the road. That's the cost nobody puts in the brochure. So a non-AFM 5.3 and a non-AFM 6.2 are both cheap to own. Different amounts of cheap, but both in the same category. Predictable, fixable, no engineered cliff. Meanwhile, an AFM or DFM 5.3 and an AFM or DFM 6.2 are both carrying the same exposure, and the smaller one gets no discount on that repair. A cam job on a 5.3 doesn't cost less because the engine is smaller. It's the same lobes, the same lifters, the same labor to get in there. And there's a quieter second cost, riding along on the modern ones. The Gen V engines, AFM and DFM alike, use direct injection, and direct injection stops washing the back of the intake valves the way port injection did. So carbon builds up, and somewhere around 80 to 100,000 miles it needs cleaning. A walnut blasting service that runs a few $100s every time it comes due. The non-AFM engines, port injected, never hand you that bill at all. It's one more line item baked into the newer versions that the old ones simply don't have. Which means the question everybody argues about in comment sections is the wrong question. It isn't 5.3 or 6.2, it's deactivation or no deactivation. Two trucks in the same row on the same lot, same engine size, same price, and one of them will cost thousands more to own than the other, and the only way to know which is the code, not the badge. Check the RPO. It's on the sticker, usually in the glove box. 3 characters decide more about your cost of ownership over 200,000 miles than the number stamped on the hood. Let me say that a different way, because it's the single most useful thing in this whole video. 2 buyers walk onto the same lot. One reads the badge, sees the bigger engine, and assumes it'll cost more to own, so he buys the smaller one feeling smart. The other one opens the glove box, reads the RPO, and buys the non-deactivation engine, regardless of size. 10 years later, the second guy is thousands of dollars ahead, and it had nothing to do with displacement. He just read the one label that actually predicts the bill. Cheapest engine to own. Straight up, the non-AFM 5.3. The LM7. Good fuel numbers, the cheapest parts supply of any V8 on the road, and nothing in the valve train waiting to collapse. If low cost is the goal, that's the answer, and it isn't a close call. Best cost per capability, the non-AFM 6.2, the L92, or the L9H. You pay more at the pump, and more at the parts counter, and in return you get 403 honest horsepower, real towing, and no deactivation, no direct injection carbon bill. For an owner who works his truck, that's the smartest money in this comparison. You're not paying a premium for a badge. You're paying for real capability with none of the engineered cost bombs. And that combination is genuinely hard to beat if you can find a clean one. The early non-AFM 6.2s get more sought after every year for exactly this reason, and the people who own them tend to know precisely what they've got. The one to be careful with, either size, anything running AFM or DFM. The L83, the L86, the LMG, the L84, the L87. Some of them go the distance and never say a word. But that's the point. You can't know in advance. And the repair when it comes is the biggest single line item either engine will ever hand you. If you already own one, don't panic and don't sell it cheap. Get ahead of it. Stay on top of oil. Know what the early noise sounds like and understand your options for shutting the system off before the cam pays for it. You've got two real paths. A tune or a disable device stops the system from deactivating cylinders, which keeps the wear from getting worse from that day forward. But understand, it does not undo damage that's already there. If the cam is already scored, a disabler won't save it. The permanent fix is a full AFM or DFM delete, a non-deactivating cam and standard lifters, done once, so the failure can never happen again. Costs more upfront, ends the problem for good. Which one's right depends on how many miles are already on the clock. If you've got low miles and a healthy engine, a disabler is cheap insurance that stops the clock. If you're already hearing a tick, or you're deep into the mileage window where these let go, the delete is the honest answer. Pay once, sleep easy. Either way, the worst move is doing nothing and hoping, because hope is the most expensive maintenance plan there is on one of these engines. So the real cost was never the displacement, it was the deactivation. That one repair erased the entire gap between these two engines. Exactly like I said up front, and it doesn't care which one you bought. Rule you can use tomorrow. Check the RPO, not the engine size. Non-AFM, either displacement, and you own something predictable. AFM or DFM, either displacement, and you own the risk. If you want the maintenance side of this, how to keep a GM truck alive to 500,000 miles, written for the owner, no mechanic, no lift. That's the 500,000-mile GMC blueprint, linked in the description. I'm Dale. Check the code before you buy the badge.